This law is quiet, but deadly. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, but if you ignore it, it can end your influence overnight.
Because not all enemies come out swinging. Some wait, some plan, some destroy you without ever raising their voice. And the mistake, you never realized who you were really dealing with.
Power is relational, and when you misread someone's temperament, ego, or capacity for revenge, you might be poking at something that won't just push back. It'll burn the ground beneath you.
People assume it's about fear. It's not. It's about intelligence, strategy, awareness, because offending the wrong person isn't about weakness. It's about not calculating risk properly.
Some people can absorb criticism. Others will obsess over it. Some forget. Others track every detail. Your job is to read the room before you speak, before you move, before you challenge.
Because when you offend someone who doesn't forgive, or worse, someone who seeks revenge with patience, you've just created a threat that doesn't go away, and most of the time, it was avoidable.
That's what makes this law so ruthless. It doesn't say don't offend anyone. It says know who you're offending. Some people, you can push them. Others, that move costs more than you're willing to pay.
It's a reminder that not every battle is worth it. Not every ego is soft. Some are sharp. Some hold power you can't see. And the moment you make it personal, you shift from influence to conflict.
And conflict always has a cost. It drains time, energy, focus. Even if you win, what did it take? What doors closed along the way? What relationships cooled off because you didn't pause and assess?
Greene's not telling you to be afraid of everyone. He's telling you to observe. Watch how people react to loss, to embarrassment, to being challenged. That's where the truth lives.
Because power is full of quiet landmines, people who look calm but act with precision when crossed. And once you trigger them, it's too late to negotiate. The damage is already unfolding.
So this law is protection. It's not about fear, it's about survival, about seeing the game 3 moves ahead, about knowing when to push and when to walk away. Let's talk about the types, because not everyone responds to offense the same way. Greene outlines it perfectly. You need to know who you're dealing with before you move against them.
There's the proud and insecure type, the ones who hide their fragility under ego. You touch their pride even slightly and they don't forget. They might smile, but internally, they're making a list.
And it's not about what you did, it's how it made them feel. If they felt disrespected, diminished, outmaneuvered, you've lit a fire. And those are the kinds who don't come at you directly. They wait, they plan, they find subtle ways to strip your power.
Then you have the chronic victim type, the ones who weaponize offense. You say something neutral, they twist it into betrayal. Suddenly you're the villain in a story you didn't even know you were part of.
And once they cast you as the enemy, it's hard to rewrite that narrative. They'll gather support, frame themselves as wounded, and quietly undermine you socially, professionally, politically.
Then there's the strategic retaliator, calm, controlled, cold. You offend them, and they'll act like nothing happened. But behind the scenes, they're shifting alliances, closing doors, laying traps.
These are the most dangerous because they never show anger. No drama, no confrontation, just silence. And then months later, you feel the damage. But by then, it's already too late.
And finally, there's the volatile reactor. No patience. You offend them, they explode. You see it instantly. It's loud, messy, but at least it's visible. You know where you stand.
Ironically, the volatile types are often easier to manage. You know their limits, you see their triggers. But the quiet ones, the ones who internalize instead of react, that's where real danger lives.
That's why awareness is everything. It's not about being passive, it's about being precise. Before you move against someone, challenge someone, outshine someone, ask yourself, what kind of person is this?
What's their pain point? What's their pride point? How do they respond when they're cornered? Do they disappear or do they destroy?
Because once you offend the wrong person, it's no longer about facts, it's about emotion. And emotion is irrational, relentless, and almost impossible to negotiate with once it's activated.
And Greene's point is clear. It's not about being nice, it's about being smart. You don't start wars you don't need. You don't create enemies just to prove you're strong.
Here's where things get complicated. Sometimes you don't even mean to offend. You just win. You just stand out. You just move too confidently in a room where someone else is insecure, and that alone is enough.
Exactly. That's why this law requires more than strategy. It demands emotional radar, the ability to feel tension that hasn't been spoken, to detect bruised egos before they bleed out into sabotage.
You might think you're just doing your job, crushing a pitch, offering a correction, sharing an idea that hits harder than theirs. But to the wrong person, that's not productivity, that's humiliation.
And once someone feels humiliated, even quietly, it becomes personal. Now you're not just a colleague, you're a threat, a symbol of what they're not, and the energy shifts.
They won't always come at you. Sometimes they'll just disengage, block opportunities, withhold support, poison your name when you're not in the room. The cost is silent, but real.
And often we're blind to it. We're so focused on performance, on results, on outcomes, that we miss the emotional landmines we're stepping on until the blowback starts.
So this law, it's prevention. It's about reading the field before you play your move, not just assessing the logic, but the emotional temperature.
Because in power, perception is often stronger than truth. If someone feels disrespected, it doesn't matter what your intention was. They're already rewriting the story in their mind, and you're the villain.
And once that narrative is in motion, it's almost impossible to reverse, especially if they're influential, especially if they're subtle, especially if they smile in public and plot in private.
We don't like to talk about this because it sounds manipulative, but it's not. It's strategic empathy. It's realizing that every person in the room has a history, a pride, a breaking point.
So pay attention to patterns. How do they respond when someone else gets praise? Do they go quiet? Do they deflect? Do they shift the room back to them? That tells you how they'll handle your light.
And if you sense volatility beneath the surface, don't provoke it. You don't need to bow, but you do need to be aware. Because in the power game, stepping on the wrong ego isn't just risky, it's sometimes irreversible. Let's go deeper into the danger of underestimating people. Some of the biggest collapses in history started with one misjudged interaction, one comment, one gesture that offended the wrong person.
Take Julius Caesar. Brilliant strategist, respected leader, but he underestimated how many people were quietly threatened by his power. The senators smiled in public and planned his assassination in private.
They didn't strike because he was weak. They struck because he was strong and too confident to notice the quiet resentment building around him. That's the trap.
It happens in business too. You rise fast, make bold moves, people applaud, but not everyone's clapping for the same reason. Some are waiting for you to slip. Others are helping, just close enough to sabotage when it counts.
And the irony? The smarter you are, the easier it is to miss this, because confidence makes you believe everyone's aligned with your vision, that your success is neutral, but it never is.
You might think you're just moving forward, but someone else sees it as you stepping over them. You think you're building, they think you're dominating. It's not about what's real, it's about how it's perceived.
Greene doesn't say, be paranoid. He says, be observant. Because power isn't just about how you act, it's about what you activate in others. And sometimes, all it takes is one careless move to activate a silent enemy.
That's why this law is subtle. It doesn't call for avoidance, it calls for precision, awareness, restraint. The ability to ask, is this move worth the reaction it might cause?
And that's not weakness, that's intelligence. You don't need to win every interaction. You need to survive long enough to win the long game.
If you destroy someone who can't recover, you've made a point. But if you offend someone who can recover and remembers, you've just created a future threat.
So you weigh the cost. You study the player. You don't mistake silence for submission. You don't confuse politeness with peace.
And if you realize you've offended the wrong person, move smart. Don't double down. Don't escalate. De-escalation is underrated in the power game, but it's often what keeps your empire standing.
There's a line in Greene's book that sticks with me. Some enemies are best left untouched. Some battles aren't worth the victory. That's the essence of this law.
Exactly. We romanticize confrontation, especially now. Call-outs, public wins, viral moments. But real power doesn't always show up as a clapback. It often shows up as restraint.
Because silence can protect you, especially when you're dealing with unstable or ego-driven personalities. You don't always need to respond. You don't always need to be right out loud.
And neutrality, when used well, is not weakness, it's armor. You stay in motion. You don't give your opponents anything solid to grab onto. You become hard to pin, hard to blame, hard to attack directly.
That doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you choose your confrontations with surgical precision. You know who can be challenged and who will blow the whole thing up just to make a point.
Think about it. How many careers, relationships, alliances fall apart because someone couldn't let one thing go? One ego bruise, one sarcastic remark, one unnecessary power flex.
We think we're proving strength, but often we're proving fragility. If you need to retaliate every time someone pokes at you, who's really in control?
Exactly. Power is the ability to absorb tension without cracking. And that includes knowing when to ignore provocation, especially when the person on the other side is unstable, vengeful, or just waiting for an excuse.
And here's the trick. The most dangerous people often look the least threatening. They don't shout, they don't challenge you in public, they study, they remember, they wait.
You think the moment passed, you moved on, but they didn't. They're still holding the moment like a loaded weapon, waiting for the perfect time to strike back.
That's why this law isn't about walking on eggshells. It's about reading the board, knowing which pieces are explosive, and refusing to make enemies where none were needed.
You'll have enough natural resistance on your path, enough people who don't want to see you win. Don't add to that list by offending someone whose entire identity is built around retaliation.
Instead, move quiet, observe carefully, and if you do need to challenge someone, do it with full awareness of the cost, not just of the move itself, but of the memory it creates. So here's the takeaway. Power isn't just about strength, it's about discernment, knowing when to speak, when to stay silent, when to confront, and when to walk away.
We say choose your battles like it's a cliche, but in the world of power, it's not just advice, it's survival. Because the wrong battle with the wrong person at the wrong time can cost everything.
That's why Law 19 is quiet but brutal. It reminds us that people carry pride, trauma, insecurities, and power, and if you press the wrong nerve, intentionally or not, you may trigger a reaction you're not ready for.
So don't be reckless with your words. Don't mistake honesty for impact. And don't assume your version of the story is the only one that matters. People act from emotion first, logic second.
We're not saying walk on eggshells. We're saying stay awake, read people, study how they react, notice where their identity gets touched. That's where they'll defend, not with logic, but with fire.
And here's the challenge for this week. Look at your current environment. Who are the quiet ones? The ones who never push back but never forget. The ones people say don't mess with.
Then ask yourself, have I misread someone's energy? Have I tried to win a moment that might have created quiet resentment? Is there a conflict I created just by being unaware?
And if the answer's yes, correct it. Not with apology if it's not needed, but with strategy. Pull back, de-escalate, reposition yourself in that person's perception, not for approval, for control.
Because in power, the smartest people don't avoid tension, they navigate it, and they never create enemies by accident. Every confrontation is intentional, or it's a liability.
Next week, we flip this from defense to offense. Law 20, do not commit to anyone. Because once you know how to avoid the wrong enemies, you also need to know how to avoid the wrong alliances.
Until then, stay sharp, stay strategic.
And always ask, is this fight necessary, or is it just noise trying to drag you off course?